as Luton makes a run ahead of them. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Dabby's ass totally stranded.
Hello, and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland, and also for fucking hell, you can see where this is going to go now, isn't it? Oh, we just lost our money, Danny, because I swore in the first 5 seconds.
We don't monetize anymore.
Yeah, you say that now. Anyway, welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast. We are here to talk about all things Arsenal, and I tell you what, Danny, if you was to go to No, Danny, not that website. No, not that one.
I've got that one.
PremierLeague.com and look at the table. You won't have to look far to see where Arsenal are.
Where are they?
Well, Danny, if you go to it and then share the screen with the lovely people on Twitter, YouTube, you will see we are not far. So if you start from number one, I have a feeling you won't have to move your neck very far. Oh, look, Danny. We are at the top of the table and we are clear, I repeat, clear of many, many teams because it's lonely at the top. And sometimes, Danny, when you're alone at the top, it's a bit lonely. You know, like you on a Friday night, and that's where you go to the other special website that you go to. It's lonely at the top. But, Danny, we're going to enjoy it, just like when you go to your other websites. And just be there.
That's all we can do.
Exactly. And on that note, yes, just in case you didn't know, Danny, you're here.
Well, I have to be, otherwise you'd be talking to an empty screen and no one would be watching. But,
this is true, but it's not like I haven't done that before.
Now, you're not the one who lets us down. Do you want to go for a roll call of who isn't here and what bullshit excuses they've given?
So, I will. So, I went to our WhatsApp and it made me laugh. And I got. Did you see I see that you didn't defend me, Danny, when I got all that abuse back. But it's all right. I'm going to remember this.
Setting the show up and listening to A Tribe Called Quest's first album.
Yeah,
so I was busy.
No worry. So, as you know, everyone, Danny on our WhatsApp group, he messages us. And no one replies. He has a hissy fit, and then I reply, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Danny, I'm available tonight." Like that's how you normally go, so it's fine. I'm just busy during the day, and I don't look at my phone. So, remember at the start of the season, Chris Carpenter said, "I'll do every show. I'll do it. I'm going to take charge." Yeah, see how long
that is uncanny. To be fair,
that's what he said. That's what because he's a pirate. So, Chris is Chris, and we love him as much as we do. He's busy running and he's looking all trimmed, showing off his legs and stuff like that. So we start with the dickhead that is Ellis. I can't do tonight because Silla is at a class, so I'll be in bed during that time. Okay. Chris tonight. I can't tonight. I'm at the cinema watching Barbie, everyone, because that's what Chris does. He wants to watch the Barbie movie. Josh replied, "You know where I'll be." I don't know where Josh will be.
Brighton.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yes, and then Danny had a hissy fit and said, "Fuck the lot then," because that's what Danny does. That had a hissy fit. Cash said, "Training tonight. Sorry, mate."
That's allowable.
Femi. I will only know closer to the time as I have to take the children gymnastics tonight. Really, that's code for I have to count my bars of gold in case the help have stolen it. So that's what Femi's really doing. And then as normal, I saved the day and saying I can do it. And also, not just me, people, not just me saved the day. Jock's here as well.
I know. Blow me down.
How are you?
It's my annual appearance, isn't it?
Well, put it this way. You've already done more appearances than Ellis has done in the last 3 seasons.
You know what? I like to defend Ellis. He's one of my favourites, but that's shocking. It's not good enough.
I'm just putting it out there. Like, there's a reason why the NHS is in such a state.
Yeah.
It's solely him.
It's Ellis. Ellis is the sole reason why the NHS is in the state that it is. Not the underfunding, not the lack of
Look at that
nurses.
face, Karl.
It's Ellis. He's the reason why the NHS is where it is. So
I was using the NHS yesterday. I went to Addenbrooke's, broken shithole. Bodies everywhere.
It's because of Ellis. Like, just literally just not turning up. Some days he decides to turn up to work. Some days he doesn't, just because it's Ellis. Literally.
First thing I thought when I went there and I saw the absolute mess, I thought, I bet that twat Ellis Mellors has started working here. Apparently, yes.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Well, talking of working, Danny, do you know what was working really, really well?
The football.
Yes, and we're just gonna like really speed through some of these games because they happened so long ago. So we're going to talk about Lens first of all quickly. 6-0 win over Lens. I saw a tweet from the the Uber Eats League 1 saying ha ha ha, French farmers have arrived, and this was when Lens beat us 2-1. As you can imagine, you don't do something like that. Like, it's very, very stupid. The abuse that they got back. Jock, we're just going to quickly go over it. 6-0 win at home in the Champions League. No matter who you're playing, when you beat a team 6-0 in the Champions League, that's a really good result.
Yeah, it's a statement win, isn't it? And like you said, I mean, we lost 2-1 over there, and they were stupid enough to galvanise us with their galling tweets. It's just like when Tony did it when Brentford beat us in their inaugural season in the Premier League, and just to kick about with the lads, and then we showed it the season after and we trounced them. It's the same thing. You put that up on the board, and you don't really have to do a team talk, do you? It was absolutely, the first half was the most comprehensive half I've seen from us in quite some time, and it was a good mixture of scorers. It was spread throughout the team. We're not relying on one player. Like, I mean, we'll probably get onto it later on, but everyone's saying, oh yeah, we need a striker, but I think if we have a focal point, a number 9 that is 20-25 goals, of course it'll benefit us in some ways, but it'll also weaken us, I think, because having a focal point as a number 9 will take the onus away from the likes of Odegaard, Saka, and Martinelli. They'll turn into providers, and it'll make us a little bit more one-dimensional. At the moment, you cut Saka off, you've got Martinelli on the other flank, you've got Odegaard pulling the strings, you've got Jesus, who is just everywhere. I mean, everyone's like, oh yeah, he doesn't score enough goals, but who gives a flying fuck if he does what he does, if he keeps doing that? It was beautiful to see. It was harmony in the first half, and the second half we inevitably switched off because it was job done, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, Danny, we were 4-0 up in like 28 minutes, I believe, or something like that. And what I liked about this game is that there were 4 different goal scorers in that time. I mean, we scored 6 goals and we had 6 different goal scorers. I mean, isn't it great, Danny, that the whole team can get involved like when scoring?
It is. That is one of the things I was going to bring up. I've got this lovely little thing that I've stolen off of the Twitters, but I don't care. It is. So it's the number of goals. I don't think it showed it, actually. It just
last
said
11 Premier League goals.
That's it. That's the one. I thought I had a picture for it, but I don't. Yeah, so the last 6 Champions League goals, all with 6 different scorers, and then we are Premier League goals, 11 goals, 11 different scorers. That's. I mean, I've said this a few times over the last 10 years, 11 years of doing this. Remember in the days when we used to have Ian Wright at the club, by far the best player, and if Ian Wright weren't playing, you went, oh, we ain't scoring goals. And that's why we expected when Haaland went to Man City that they would be in trouble, because he's going to score you 100 goals a season. If he doesn't score, nobody else is. Unfortunately, that didn't turn out to be true. But usually, in most teams in world football, if you've got a goal scorer that's getting you 30 goals a season, you're going to get hardly any goals from anywhere else. And I think that was part of the Wenger genius. He had everybody on the pitch scoring goals, famously Tony Adams, Everton 4-0, May 1998. Showed that what other players can do. I mean, not many. You're not going to get Gabriel running the length of the pitch with the ball and then smacking it with his left foot in the bottom left-hand corner, are you? But the point is, we've got goals coming from everywhere, and they all love it, and they're all up for it. But also, Karl, we've got players defending. We saw, I think it was against the Wolves game, Martinelli down the left-hand side. It was, that sounds like a song, doesn't it? when Zinchenko did his usual fuck up, he covered him and then went back, got the ball, and ran off with it again. And I thought that's the kind of two-man covering you need. And likewise, yesterday we saw that Ben White, and because we've said for ages that Saka has too many on him all season. What can we do about it? Arteta's gone, here, what we're going to do. Ben White, off you go, son. And now we've got 2 players on that wing. And unless they're going to stick 4 on that wing, I think we've broke the system. Well, we haven't. Arteta has.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, when you see, like you were saying, if you go down the left-hand side, you've got Muslim. You go down the right-hand side, you've got Saka. And you have to, when you're defending against that, you have to decide where you're going to go. And also, you have to remember, you have to pick up like Jesus as well. And the fact that, 1 minute he's a false 9, 1 minute he's a centre forward. As a defender, that must be a nightmare to defend because you just don't know where to go. You don't know who you're gonna pick up. And I think that's what bamboozles teams. I think, if you go man for man, we will drag you all over the place, and there's no way you're going to be able to handle us because we will take you all over the place. And especially if we got someone like Ben White on the overlap or Zinchenko or whoever is playing on the left-hand side, that overlap is really, really strong. Or if you follow us into midfield, you're just going to create spaces for all the wide men. You go out wide, you're going to have people like Declan Rice or Havertz running through the centre. So defending against us, it must be near enough impossible. And as a team, I think Lance, I said it sort of in the group, and I think I said it on Twitter as well. This is why teams don't attack us, because if you attack us, we will absolutely annihilate you. So that's why teams play a low block against us, because they know that if you leave us space in behind or in the middle of the park or wide, we're just going to destroy you. So I can understand why teams, and I think that was almost not just a warning in the Champions League, but definitely a warning sort of in the league as well, because that just shows that you come for us, we're definitely going to come destroy you. And I think it was almost reflected in the Wolves game. So, we scored 6 in the Lens game, and it was a brilliant standout result. And then you go to the Wolves game, and, the first, we scored 2 goals in 13 minutes. It was, absolutely brilliant. And I think then Wolves kind of said, okay, we tried to go gun-ho or toe-to-toe with Arsenal. We can't do that because we're getting destroyed. So then they started to kind of, I think it's a mixture of both. I think they started to defend a little bit more and not come out so much. And I think a touch of the last seasons came about us, because remember last season, so many games we go 2-0 up against, and we would just stop playing. It would just stop playing. I remember we did it against West Ham. I remember we did it against Liverpool. It's almost like a mental block where go 2-0 up, we're cruising, and the team just thinks, okay, we're winning now, it's fine, we can straight the ball about and not go too gun-ho. And it's kind of like, well, that's wrong. Jock, I don't know if you saw any highlights of the game, but did you think the same thing, kind of a touch of the last seasons about it?
Last season, you hit the nail on the head for last season. Like I wouldn't say it was quite taking our foot off the gas, but we were playing with such intensity and playing as a team unit. But it gave us that extra 5% that enabled us to get those last-minute victories against Aston Villa and Bournemouth and Man United. And when we went 2-0 up with early goals, or like in the first half, and we had like half an hour to play or whatever, we would not play we'd drop that 5%, which would make us gettable. It'd be put us on a par with other teams. So then it was an even keel. So then we'd let them back into it. But against Wolves, we hit the bar, hit the post with Nketiah. Martinelli hit the post first. We had 3 or 4 gilt-edged chances. I think it was more profligacy than us taking our foot off the gas, because we were. Odegaard was interviewed after the game, and he said, we should have put the game to bed, but it wasn't a case of us taking it easy. We were creating chances still. We just didn't put them away. Jose Sarr pulled off a couple of fingertip saves. So I don't think it was the same as last season, and that's really encouraging, considering we got injuries in defence and whatnot. I'm trying to take any positive we can get, because it's going to be really grueling over December now. So, and the fact I think we're looking better. Yeah, it's not as fluent. Everyone keeps hinting about how we're not as fluent, and the movement isn't as fluid as last season. But we're way more resolute. We look way more up for it consistently on every single game. So Yeah, I wouldn't say it's quite. I'd say we're improved over last season. I think we've learned a few lessons, which is really good.
I mean, the good thing is that I think we're seeing out games a lot more often. I mean, we'll come into yesterday's game, but Danny, I mean, you know, it was really good. The Wolves game, we played well, but there's always that. I always call it a brain fart moment, and I think Zinchenko had it, where you know you're comfortable and you get the ball, and I think is it a case of overplaying or keeping too much control? Because any other defender would have got the ball and just booted it up the other end of the pitch. But I think if you look at the goal again, I'll remind you of it. Zinchenko got the ball, but I think he wanted to keep so much control over it. He decided to try and pass it rather than just hoof it up the pitch. And I understand, you know, Arteta wants to control the ball. He wants to keep holding the ball because you don't have the ball. If you give the ball away, then it starts another attack. But when you're in your box or you're that close to your goal, surely the best thing to do is just to get rid of it. And Zinchenko, as good as he is, and I've put out a tweet on the pod Twitter, and I said, like, whatever Zinchenko is good at, defending is not one of the things that he's good at because he just can't defend. And I understand that, you know, playing him at left back is probably just a way of getting him into the squad. You know, his position is not left back because he plays everywhere on the pitch. He plays centre mid, plays centre mid, he plays on the wing, he plays everywhere. But are we sacrificing a little bit of defensive stability in playing Zinchenko in the squad?
Yeah, which is why we bought Timber. Because then Timber will be up and down that wing like a bloody whippet when he gets back. It's going to be towards the end of the season, which is an absolute shame because that was a key part of the jigsaw for the starting 11. And then luckily Tommy came in and Tommy was brilliant, and now he's injured again with yet another calf strain, and he's going to be out now until after the Christmas run of games. And then we got rid of Tierney, who I personally love, and I know Jock loves, and it's
me too.
It's a crime against football that man, who was our best player, who we were all going, my God, look at that man for 2 seasons, and Arteta's gone, no, can't understand a word you're saying. Go and put some trousers on and fuck off Spain. So it is worrying because he plays as a DM for Ukraine, as we all know. And I think that his natural instincts are to get the ball and go forward with it. But when he does that, we've got a massive hole at left back, and we've got a giant hole at right back because they all go. The little one said roll over, and they all shuffle over to the left. And then you have to go, well, Saka's now going to have to track back at right back when he's done that. And he made 3 mistakes: the Martinelli one, which you talked about earlier, and the clearance one, which you mentioned, and then it was his fault for the goal. Well, that was his fault for the goal. And there was another one that he made as well. And he only came on as a sub, didn't he? It's not like
No, he started the game. He started against Wolves, didn't he?
Start it, yeah. But
see, I mean, I think defensively, yeah, you're right. I think he can put in a tackle, right? He can mark, but he cannot stay in position for love nor money, especially during a transition.
It reminds me of Song,
which then makes us lopsided, and exactly what you said, that, you know, everyone shifts over to compensate for him. So I understand he does make us weak, but he does add a lot as well. I mean, there's a reason why Arteta wanted him so badly. He does link up play really well. He's got the boundless energy. He's great in the attacking third as well. He just needs to learn how to stay in position sometimes and be a bit more diligent. But I mean, there's nothing he can't do apart from that, which is not good. So
it's just a defensive. I mean, like you said, what he lacks in defense, he more than makes up for one in enthusiasm and overloaded in the midfield, because you either go with him if you're smart, or if you want to live dangerously. What you do, you have a winger and you say to that winger, stay wide. But then the problem is, if you set that winger stay wide, we're just going to overload you in midfield. So then you're looking at the balance where you're thinking to yourself, okay, do I sacrifice my overload in midfield, or do I keep my attacking winger wide and just let him run? Because it then becomes, if we overload your midfield and we're just, as Arsenal are, we're just good at passing and we're just outpass you and then score, and then if you're blaming your winger for not tracking back because you're going to leave Martinelli alone. If you leave Martinelli one-on-one against your right back, don't care who the right back is, he's going to destroy you. Especially when you're doubling up against Zinchenko as well, and they play those intricate passes. Then it's brilliant.
I think one thing needs to be said as well. Credit to Wolves, actually. They're actually a really underrated side. I've seen them give problems. We've all seen them give problems to the top sides. They're really well drilled. Gary O'Neill's got them playing for him under a unified tactic. They're hard to break down, but they're not just like dogged and 10 men behind the ball. They're a lot more than that. I mean, Matthias Cunha, Hwang Hee-chan, they're actually really good players. And Pedro Neto is still injured. Is that right? I mean, there was a point where when he was in the side, when he played against Liverpool, I think it was. I mean, he ran him ragged, and everyone was like, "Please, we have to sign him." Wolves are actually a really good side, and they clawed their way into the game. Yeah, we took our foot off the gas a wee bit, but credit to Wolves a wee bit. They've given sides that are worse than us, and including Man City, who are better than us in many ways, an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wolves are not a bad side, and they've had some we've had some decisions go against us, but they've really had some decisions go against them. So yeah. I think they've got more cause to complain than we have. Talking about cause to complain, I'm going to talk about the Luton game. So it was absolutely a topsy-turvy game. I mean, if you're wearing a heart monitor, I'm telling you now, your heart monitor would have began 10 to the dozen. So I can quickly come to you, Danny. So Danny, we go 1-0 up, Martinelli, brilliant play for Saka, literally, really quick thinking, pressure from Jesus, throw-ins taken quickly, Saka squares it to Gabriel and scores. Now at that point you're thinking, it's looking good for us. You go away to that ground. The ground is really tiny. It's remote. It's compact, and you're thinking to yourself, "Okay, cool. We're gonna win." And then we concede from a set piece. Danny, we're meant to be really good at set pieces. The set piece coach makes himself very, very known. Every time we have a set piece, he comes out on the touchline. Are you disappointed? Not just one, that we conceded at 2 set pieces in that game.
Yes, because that's what we're famous for. That's what we lead the stats for in the Premier League. We're the ones who do that far post header. It's going to be one of the big boys, one of the defenders, maybe even Kai now that he's on a goal scoring thing. But then for that to happen once against a shit team, a horrible team like them, who had spent the first hour kicking and shoving and pulling and cheating, because they're a bunch. I mean, their bloke in midfield, number 17, he was with them in the conference. He's the first player ever to go from the conference to the Premier League with the same team. I mean, that is some feat. But how can you have a conference player playing in your central midfield? The only thing he must be there for, he must be like who did it for us, Flamini and players like that would just go out there and let people know you're there, give them a kick, grab hold of them, mess them up. And they were doing the rotating fouling thing on it. And then we saw it later on in the game that Jesus got one for pulling a shirt. You're thinking, have you not seen the rest of the stuff in the game? Some of our players will have to go and have leeches put on them to get rid of some of the wounds that they've got. But it is so annoying, and you can see that. I mean, Arteta won't have that. I mean, Saka's already said he watches the games back on his own to see what he can do to stop what's happening. And I think that's working. But I think the turning point for the game, Karl, is when Jesus got that smack in the face, and after that, before, where he was angry and he was up for it and he was going for every single ball. And I think sometimes he's a little bit lazy with stuff and he drifts too far wide or too far deep. And he had the bit between his teeth last night and he was furious, and he must have been more angry that we kept letting they go, right, it's 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, and then when it was 3-2, they must have been gone, right, what the hell is going on here? We know what was going on, and we're probably going to talk about him later in the show. But for
that's
us
a good segue.
Yeah, so it's annoying, Karl.
Yeah, I just think, a team like Luton, they know they're never going to outplay us in football. I don't care. I think I saw an interview with their manager afterwards, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to have a go. You're not going to have a go at Arsenal. I don't care who you are. You're not going to have a go at Arsenal because we will annihilate you." And you can tell what that team talk was. Like it was back Stoke days, back in
Sean Dyche Burnley days.
Yeah, Burnley days, in some other dice, Bolton days. Stick your foot in, go on, let them know you're here. You know, that you can tell that's what the team talk was. Let them know that you're there, you know, lead a foot in, let them know like where they are. Like you just know that's what it was. It's just like those days are done. My problem is we're meant to be getting eradicating that sort of football. And it doesn't help. And I put a tweet out as well. And I said, who is this referee? I kind of know all the referees. I've never seen that referee ever. So, like, what I don't understand is he was just letting everything go. And the moment, and I know every team can say this, but as soon as we had a foul, that was it straight away. He was blowing up. And you're like, I totally given up with VAR, and I genuinely mean I've totally given up with it because Arsenal were not ever going to get any help from VAR ever.
Unless we're doing it, Karl, then they're all over us.
Yeah, it's just we're not going to get any help from VAR at all ever. And I think that some of the decisions, I mean, I'm going to talk about the goal for the second goal. So, you know, Gabriel, a brilliant run by Ben White down the wing, and he done a brilliant cross, and it's a brilliant header from Gabriel Jesus, and you know he brings it back to 2-2, and I think it's just it's a lovely centre forward goal. I think it's one of those old, you know, back in the day where a winger would run down the wing, cross it, and the centre forward diving header or just a header in, and that's what you want to see. You want to see your centre forward get goals because. Sorry, I lied. I said 2-2.
That's his second
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. That's his second Premier League goal of the season. That's
I know we're talking about. I want to talk about that later, but yeah. And then like we go in at half time, 2-1 up, and then literally as soon as the second half starts, 3 minutes later we concede. We get concede a corner, and then we concede again by a set piece, and you're kind of like. We're going to talk about David Raya later, but I will touch on him. If you come out that far to claim a ball, you get that ball. And if you don't get that ball, you take every motherfucker out with you. Like, if you don't get that ball, and I'm sorry, you have to.
Not often I hear that on the podcast, Karl. It's nice of you to drop in the C-bombs as well.
No, not that. I'm not Chris Kirk. But that is, I'm sorry, you have to take everyone out with you. Everyone, you have to. And it annoyed me, but we're going to touch on Raya later. We'll talk about his performance is. And then, of all people, Ross Barkley, who must be about 56 years old, runs down our right-hand side, their left, cuts in, and then has one of the most tamest shots ever. Now, Danny, you in a wheelchair, I think you could fall out of your wheelchair faster than David Raya went down and still save that. And after that went in, I suppose just like Jock and just like me, like and everyone, I'm apoplectic. I was like, what the fuck? You know when you can't believe what you're seeing, Jock? I don't know if you were the same. Like, you know when you have to wait for the replay because you cannot believe what you just saw. Like, was you the same as me?
It's like, you know, when you drive past a car accident and everyone slows down, the rubbernecking, you have to watch it again. You know it's going to damage you, and you know it's going to send you fucking aflame, but you have to watch it again, and then you have to watch it again, and then you realise, how the fuck did that squeeze under you? How? It's like, you remember that meme of the guys, a dad's watching his kid play football and he's in goal and he's like 5 years old and he's not paying any attention. The ball comes hurtling towards the goal and he pushes his kid over to save it. That kid could save that fucking shot. But it's, did you know we also lead something in the Premier League? Obviously, we lead in terms of least goals conceded from set plays, defence. Well, maybe not now because we conceded 3 yesterday, but we also lead from mistakes leading to goals.
5.
We have made 5 clear-cut errors that have led to us conceding, more than any other side by a country mile. And so that doesn't take away from our defensive solidarity. We're better in defense now, but if you're making clear-cut errors, there's only so much Saliba and Gabriel and Ben White can do if they're making errors like that. I mean, I'm not every goalkeeper we've had, our best from Lehman to Seaman to Jennings to Wilson, they have all made horror shows, and we all know that when a goalkeeper makes an error, it's put into massive focus because that's what they're there to do. They have one job, and when they don't do it, it looks well worse than when a defender misses a tackle or a clearance or whatever. But it's so bad. Like, I personally think that the first goal he conceded when he came out for the corner was worse than the shot that he conceded, because you can understand the ball squirming underneath you. Yeah, there's no excuse, he should have saved it. But the way he came out for that corner, it's just on the limit of his 6-yard box when he came out for it. He didn't even come out that far, but he's commanded it. He's shouted for it, and it's not at a height that should have been problematic. The guy wasn't like barging him over. He just has to catch it, but he gets beaten to it, and that's bad reading of the flight of the ball, and that's quite worrying, because Rambo may not be as good distribution wise, but he can claim a ball in the fucking air. He really can. So
he loves a punch.
And this is what I was saying. God. Like, if you're not gonna get the ball, you got to take people out, and I think that's what you got to do, because where I'm literally want to touch on Raya later. I do want to just cover that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. We're definitely gonna think. I just want to touch on the Luton game, but I think where I mean, he's, as a goalkeeper, you expect your goalkeeper to be tall, a commanding figure. I think David Ospina was what? I think David Ospina was maybe about 5'10".
5'2". He's the same height as Jock.
I'm 5'4.5". Thank you.
That's
okay,
when
I was measured by the police.
on Ramirez, Raul,
and you
Stokes.
You always expect your goalkeeper to be like a big commanding figure, to be able to jump, look, dangly arms. And David Raya doesn't have a commanding presence in the box. He doesn't.
Yes, you're so right.
Yeah, he doesn't have. When like someone like Schmeichel or someone like David
Oliver
Lehman, yeah, like they would like command their area. They would. You could tell he gets bullied.
Yeah, like if one of those keepers you just mentioned was coming for the ball, opposing attackers would be mindful of their presence, because they know they're going to get fucking clattered. Ramsdale has that, because he is a shithouse. He'll make his presence felt. He's got a mouth on him. He's physically robust. Raya is physically robust, but he's too calm. Don't get me wrong, David Seaman was very calm, and he made a career out of it, and he made a very good fucking career out of it. But I think that's one thing lacking from Raya, is that he doesn't make his presence felt in the box. Exactly what you just said. That's a very, very good point.
I feel like teams are not scared. Like, now people will watch that game, the Luton game, and teams will now say, have a pop, because he's clearly like, his shot stopping won't be the best. So if you like just have a pop at him to test him as well, and they'll see that, I think, okay, maybe it happened, because it wasn't a wet night, it wasn't raining in Luton,
no,
the ground weren't overly wet, so like you said, there's no excuse for that to slip underneath him, and it's just it was annoying. It was really annoying. But then Hazard.
That WhoScored.com cheeky fuckers tweeted the 4.1 that he got from that was the lowest score we've given anyone this season.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I've seen some shit performances.
Yeah, it wasn't a 4.1 performance.
That's a bit harsh. Jesus.
Yeah, obviously Spurs fans running that.
That's ridiculous. I've seen Onana, really, like, he's got more than that. No, that's stupid. Sorry, I'm not having that. I've seen some terrible performances. Sheffield United player has got Sheffield United been pumped how many times?
And by Burnley, who have been equally shit.
We pumped them 5, Burnley pumped them 5, and you're trying to tell me that they haven't got a 4.1? That's bullshit. Sorry, that it really is.
Yeah,
Hazard, Kai Havertz, he scored. Again, we're going to talk about him later. But Danny, when that Kai Havertz goal went in, was you then thinking, when we watched a 3-3, was you in the ascendancy and thinking, oh, actually, we just might do it?
Yes, because I tweeted before the game. I was just playing Football Manager. I'm in Division 19, and I just smashed the team 7-2. And so I said, Arsenal to beat Luton 7-0. And Kai is going to get 2, and Saka is going to get 6 assists. Didn't quite work out like that. But that photo there is a slightly misleading, isn't it, Jock? It's not quite that good. But I've done this where I think the Arsenal team have been watching the Karate Kid, the original film, because some of the things, some of the ways that we're scoring, it does give you... Is Mr. Miyagi part of the pit crew? That's what we need to know.
It's live, it's flexible, it's acrobatic. I agree. That Zinchenko volley was fucking mint. And you're
Beautiful.
right. That picture does... It does it too much justice, that Havertz finish. But the main point of his goal was that he was in the right place, and that instinct is back for him, because it was a millisecond between him and Kaminsky coming out and snatching the ball. He's definitely got. The last I wrote a blog for about 2 months. The last one I wrote was defending Kai Havertz signing. It was like 3 games into the season, and I came out and said, just give the guy time. How can you judge a player in 3 games? You can't say he's a waste of money. Yes, it's a lot of outlay, but he's been picked up for a reason by both Chelsea and us. He was mint at Leverkusen. He keeps getting picked repeatedly by German coaches. Give the guy time. I mean, it's going to take a while to settle in. There's different personalities. He might need an arm around the shoulder. Might need to bond with some teammates before we start to see the best of him. But this is by far not the best of him, and he's still scored 3 and 3. So you watch him fly. He's going to be pivotal, guaranteed.
I just want to say, Femi was dead against him. Femi, I think, loaned Arsenal 60 million to buy Kai Havertz, so he wants to see a return on his money. So Femi was obviously Havertz out. No, but I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit the same. I wanted to see, I wanted returns, and I understand it takes a little time for players to come in, settle into the squad. Of course, it does. No one hits the ground running instantly, apart unless your name's Declan Rice. But it was. I'm glad to see he's now finding his feet, and I think confidence is a big thing amongst footballers. When he played for Chelsea, he was in a shit team. He wasn't playing well. So I can understand why he was kind of the way he is. But obviously, he's come to a club and he's a little bit loved. And yeah, any footballer reads social media. Of course, they will see what fans are saying against him. Of course, they will. However, when you've got confidence and you're in a team and you can play well, and now he's got his goals from open play, I think that was a big thing. I think having that penalty, it was kind of, oh yeah, you got a goal, well done, yeah. But and he kind of knows it was given to him, but when you score goals from open play, I think that's a really big thing. And he's now got the confidence to run forward, to run beyond the line, to break the mold. So I think I'm really happy that he's now flourishing. Like, we want Kai Havertz to score. I think I'll ask you, Jock. At the end of the season, let's just say season's finished. What are good numbers for Kai Havertz? So, what is a good goal scoring and assist return? Do you think for a season?
See, did you see his numbers against Luton? How many tackles he put in? How many interceptions he made? That's what I was looking at, because he's got an engine on him, and when he was signed, Arteta was hinting that we're signing him as a midfielder. We're not signing him as a striker. I know he can play number 9, and he played that to some effect for Chelsea. But his numbers in midfield and how industrious and busy the guy is, he's not lazy. He's far from lazy. So I looked at those numbers, and he was. Him and Rice were very, very busy. Numbers wise, at the end of the season, if he doesn't get 10 across all competitions, I'll be disappointed. Assists wise, he's got enough intelligence to get more assists than he does goals, I think. And I will say his greatest strength, I think, just humbly, is that his ability to ghost into the box, those late timed runs, a la Freddie Ljungberg, Paul Scholes, those type of players. That gives us an extra edge. It also means he's a bit of a luxury player because you can't quite play him in central midfield because he's not quite there yet for central midfield. You can't play him as a number 9 because he's not got that killer instinct, but he does add quite a lot. He's a great super sub, and he's great for rotation. He's great for flexibility, but I think he needs to nail down a position. And at the moment, he looks quite comfortable on the midfield 3 on the left, but time will tell. But I'm more than pleased to, and it's just a fickle fan base, and there's so many that just don't give players enough time to think. You got to smash it. And Declan Rice isn't doing it he's not doing him any favors at all because he's hit the ground running from day dot. So I mean, there's that too.
I mean, yeah, I think when you see how good Declan Rice has been, I think it's just marvelous. But Danny, I want to come to you. So Danny, it's the 96th minute. And we are still 3-3. And at that time, I know you were throwing your cat, swinging it by its tail.
Preparing a tweet.
So I was so angry. I was downstairs and I was in my living room and I was watching on TV and I was like, do you know what? Like, I don't even want to. Do you know when you just don't want to hear the final whistle because you don't want to I didn't want to hear the Luton fans cheering. I didn't want to hear what the commentators had to say. Ali McCoy. I didn't want to hear anything.
I had Gary Breen on mine. What an absolute dickhead he is.
Gary Breen, what's a blast from the past?
He's Irish
Coventry, Wolves, Republic of Ireland, right?
Birmingham as well, I think.
Oh
gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. So when Odegaard got the ball, the way he was shaping, I was like, why are you not going to shoot? Just have a pop shot. Just have a shot. What could possibly go wrong? Someone get the read. Obviously, so, and I saw...
Dear Mr. Odegaard, I'd like to reference you
Yeah.
before we scored. What the fuck were you doing, Sam? Your best wishes, Karl.
And when he crossed it, when he sort of just hit it forward into the path of Declan Rice, and Declan Rice met it, brilliant header right into the bottom corner. Danny, did you stand up? Be very honest.
I've complained many times that I no longer celebrate goals because they're only ever going to get taken off because the FAA hates us, everybody hates us. But then I was thinking, looking back, that when they had a throw in and one of our players kept hold of the ball, so the referee stopped the time. Adit was pressing the stopwatch, and the commentator said, "Why is the referee doing that when it's the Arsenal player not giving the ball back to the Luton player for the throw-in?" That entire thing took about 20 seconds. That 20 seconds in that part of the game was added on at the end, and that's what helped us score. And I don't usually celebrate, and I've got 5 cats. After we scored that goal, I had 1 cat. The rest had run, trying to get 4 fat cats through 1 skinny cat flap. Pythagoras would struggle working that one out. I was screaming, going, "Fucking yes, you fucking cunt!" And I started banging my fucking table, going, "Bang, bang, fucking yes, you can!" Yeah, I very rarely celebrate. I was a bit happy, Karl.
Yes, I was ecstatic. I'm sure you was as well, Jocko. You the same.
There's nothing like a last minute winner. Referencing my blog once again, I wrote something last year because I went to the Bournemouth game, and with Reece Nelson, 97th minute. There is nothing like a last minute winner. It doesn't matter if the game's a dead rubber. Obviously, it matters more if the game is monumental, but to score in the last minute to get 3 points or to get through to the next round or whatever it is, that's what makes your football. That's what flows through your blood. That's what you dream of. And yeah, Tim Stillman put out a really good tweet because he's a parent as well, and he said he's mastered the art of the silent celebration. When we scored in the 97th minute, and he screamed silently and jumped up but without making any fucking noise. My kids were asleep as well, and I was like,
"Oh, because he's got a little girl, hasn't he?"
Yeah, and my wife was sitting next to me. She was like, "The fuck are you doing?" Because I was following it on my phone, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I was kissing my fucking tattoo.
You weren't watching it.
Fucking you. The
Was
TV.
you watching Celebrity in Jungles?
My wife was watching, and therefore I had zero choice.
I would.
I was
be
following
handing her
the
divorce
BBC,
papers.
BBC Sport, BBC Radio. So
Absolutely shocking behaviour. And I hope the crowd were chanting, "Stick your league cup up your arse! Stick your league cup up your arse!" from Wembley to fucking what is the name of their ground? Stick your league
Kenilworth.
cup up your Kenilworth Road. Stick your league cup up your arse. You fucker, hate them. I was at that League Cup final. Ruined my fucking life.
Old school fans still hold a grudge. I was reading some tweets, and they still hold grudges against Luton.
Oh, fuck I. You see my tweets. Fuck them. Hence the name of the podcast, Fuck Off Luton Town. I've had to get around the swear filter on that. But it was absolutely stunning, Karl, and I screamed like I haven't screamed in quite... Last time I screamed like that, a spider ran in the front door and hid underneath my desk.
Or his home help used a Brillo pad instead of sponge for his bath.
Oh. Big Bob has been known to do that once or twice. Dirty boy. Usually on the testicle.
You have to, like Jock said, there's nothing like a last minute winner because it just brings out everything because you just know there's not enough time for them to come back. There's nothing they can do. And I think that's the best thing. Like, and once you've had
back in a year, Karl, and going, that was
the catalyst. I mean, we said that about Jock said about the Bournemouth.
The Aston Villa game was a couple of weeks before that.
Yeah, definitely.
Jorginho and then Martinelli. Oh, games.
I think, and those are the sort of games that you need. You need them ugly wins. You need, those scrappy wins where draws turn into wins. That's what you need, and I think that will galvanize the team. That's the Aston Villa team talk there. Look what you did. You was away. You was 3-2 down, and you came back to win 4-3. Like that's what you need. That shows the togetherness of the team, and it was something that was brilliant. And I'm going to just touch on something quickly because I'm going to go in order. When you score a 96-minute goal, like you just said, we all celebrated, and as you do, as a coaching staff would as well, they would celebrate as well.
I know.
Can someone tell me why the hell Arteta celebrates, and it's not like he's the first man to celebrate, and then straight away he gets booked for over celebrating? I think that is the most stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I know every team can say this, but there's no way there is not a vendetta against Arteta. There blatantly is, Jock. Like there has to be that. Look how many times.
All you have to look at, you are bang on with this because I was speaking to a Liverpool fan today about this. The evidence is in Jurgen Klopp when they score a hotly contested game. Jurgen Klopp races down that fucking touchline nearly every game. He gives it some to the fans. His celebrations are on a par, if not worse, than what Arteta did. How can you not celebrate a last-minute winner? He didn't do anything. He didn't antagonise the fans. He just raced down the touchline. Yeah, yes, it was out of his area, but how many managers go out of their area in a game when they score a winner? It happens all the fucking time, and yet you don't see this. And yet the charge was announced instantly. It's like they were, well, we're waiting. What's he going to do next? It 100%, and it fuels the fire for this vendetta against Arteta. Because yes, Arteta is one of the most histrionic and passionate of managers. He's always at it, and he's got this shit sticks. So when Richard Keys was talking about, he was raising awareness of every time Arteta was passionate, it then stuck, and then the snowball started to grow and grow. And now every time he does anything that's remotely passionate, it's like, yeah, he's off again. But it's bollocks. Someone said that they're trying to take the emotion out of the game, and I, at the time when I heard it, I thought to myself, it's just some old school fans just thinking, they want to go back to the good old days with no shin pads and kick the lumps out of each other. But it's fucking true. How can you not celebrate a last minute winner? And how can you charge someone for doing so? Have a look at yourselves. That's fucking shocking.
It's just ridiculous. Like, what did they want Arteta to do? Like, just sit there and just sit in his hands and clap? Like,
that's it. Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head. When Klopp scores and he runs onto the pitch and does all these nonsense,
I know.
Nothing happens to him. So my issue was why it was almost like the referee was waiting to just do something. So now he's not going to be on the touchline for the Aston Villa game. I believe he sort of he misses that game, so he's going to be in the stands. RIP, who's going to be having the headpiece because Jesus, he's not going to stop the whole game, is he? Like,
he's going to have tinnitus after that, mate.
Literally, he's going to be in the stands, like shouting down his earpiece. Ridiculous. Yeah, look at that. De Zerbi, like nothing happens.
He's on the fucking pitch.
He's on the pitch itself,
and he didn't get booked. So tell me how.
So surely you'd think that the club have already shown that they've got their back with Arteta when he came out with the comments against Newcastle and the club backed him, right? Why don't they? I mean, it's quite easy to show compilation. You've just shown in 2 minutes Roberto De Zerbi doing something far worse, right? Why don't they forward a compilation? And it's the purest evidence to say, look, there are managers who are doing far worse than what our manager Arteta did. So why are you charging him when there are managers who have done worse in terms of breaking your rules? They will not. They can't have an answer for that. That's focused on one manager. It's nuts.
I was saying, I think I said it in the group that Arteta still hasn't been charged for his comments that he said against the Newcastle game, and it's very. I said that I think they're waiting as long as possible because they want him to. They want him to miss. They want him to miss the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking. I think they're trying to wait as long as possible. I think someone told me that they have to charge him within the next few days. Like, they've got until Friday to charge him. And I would love him to go to that flipping meeting and say, look, here's what. I mean, we all know it's going to happen. We 100% know that he's going to get charged. Like, we know this. It's not stupid. Like, we know what's going to happen. And my issue is, you can provide as much evidence as humanly possible.
They won't even let you, though, give any. They're not letting him do a PowerPoint, Karl.
I know this. So he's got to go there and say, did you say this? Why did you say this? Oh, and what makes me laugh is that it's not an independent panel. It's a group of people who work within the PGML who are going to make that decision. And it's just,
isn't that biased?
It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely
you're questioning
ridiculous.
Referees. Who's judging the trial? Oh, it's referees. For fuck's sake! Are you fucking?
Like the police, when something goes wrong, the police judge the police. And politicians judge politicians.
Oh, you never want that. You never want that. That'd just be a fucking absolute clusterfuck.
I don't understand why I don't know what the vendetta is against Arsenal and Arteta. I have no idea why, and it just seems like
Arsenal.
Yes, George Graham said it back in the 90s and 80s. He said that they don't like us. They hate us. Let them hate us. We'll just carry on regardless. When they docked us 2 points, shove your 2 points up your arse. He did the camera crew went to the training ground and George Graham was, listen, boys, you need to start behaving yourselves. You can't be fighting on the pitch. As soon as the cameras were off, they can shove their 2 points up their arse. We're going to fucking win the league now. And they used it to galvanise them. Everyone knows that, there's a vendetta. I think Herbert Chapman even referenced it, or it might have been Bertie Mee. But there has always been this sort of hatred towards Arsenal. And yes, there's also now this stigma attached to, it's moaning Arsenal fans. But when you've got something genuine to moan about, we've just highlighted the bias there. So, but yet it won't be highlighted. You'll have channels like TalkSport twisting it, going, so moaning Arsenal fans are moaning about Arteta getting charged, but yet he ran down the pitch. They'll just do it. It's clickbait. It's clickbait everywhere because we respond all the time.
And we have a big fan base, and I think
I
think that's what it is. Because we have a big fan base. That's also the problem. We're going to touch on Kai Havertz and also Raya very quickly. So, Danny, I owe Kai Havertz an apology. I do, because and so does Femi.
Again, going to be filling out the form.
Femi has faxed it to me in triplicate, and I'm going to attach my name to Femi's form, and I'm going to tick the box of saying I didn't trust the process, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to be hasty to jump to conclusions about Arsenal players again, because I will. I 100% will. When we pick up another midfielder and he doesn't score on his debut, doesn't get a hat trick, I'm going to say he's a waste of fucking money. We should never have signed him. Can't believe we bought this crock of shit. But no, Chelsea fans were laughing, and now they're.
I mean, we've got a song about it, haven't we?
Waka waka, aye.
And 60 odd million was quite a lot of money. Let's be very honest, it really was. However, he's starting to get returns now. Like I read previously, he's getting into the point where he is definitely starting to find his feet in this team and how they play, and what Arteta wants from him. And I think he just needs to be a little bit more robust and tough. There were sometimes he was playing a bit too safe, like there'll be a forward pass on, but he wouldn't play it for fear that he might lose the ball, so he'll play it backwards or he'll play it sideways. And he was just like, no, that's not what we want from you, Kai. So try and be a little bit better. And even that goal yesterday just showed how good he is, running on to the end of stuff, like breaking the lines. And that's brilliant. That's what we want from him. Again, I do think it's quite early in the season, so I'm not going to totally apologise. We'll see where we are at the end of the season. If I see him lifting that Premier League trophy or Champions League, or we're touching it later, or the FA Cup, because we've got Liverpool, so we'll touch on that game a bit later. I'm going to be extremely happy. But I do think, Kai Havertz, he's starting to play his own. He's starting to come in on his own. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy. And hopefully what we'll do is we will see where we are at the end of this season, because he is a player. I think he's a confidence player. And if you give him the ball and he does well, then, yeah, you can't fault him. He's doing his job. But we just need to see where we are at the end of the season. Jock, I want to talk to you about David Raya, because we can't escape the elephant in the room, not in the slightest. Now, let's be very, very honest. 2 of the goals yesterday were his fault. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think 2 were his fault. Now, goalkeepers make mistakes. It's what they do. Like, we can't say that they don't. It's what goalkeepers do. Sometimes they make mistakes. I think it's a bit more highlighted for David Raya, for the simple fact because obviously there's that competition with him and Ramsdale. Now, I'm not going to say Ramsdale never made mistakes, because clearly he did. Like, Ramsdale definitely made mistakes. But can you remember off the top of your head, like, high profile mistakes Ramsdale made? And I'm saying this because the mistakes are much more highlighted now. And where do we go with this? Like, what do we do with an issue like David Raya? Like, do you bring Ramsdale back in the team? Do you stick with David Raya and see if we can get that out of him? Because if you drop David Raya now, Arteta looks like a fool. Like, he looks like an idiot because he doesn't know which goal to decide. If you stick with David Raya and he keeps making these mistakes, then
he looks like an idiot.
Yeah, so that's a conundrum. So what is it that you do?
He can't win. You've hit the nail on the head. If he keeps Raya in, then everyone's going to be screaming at him, because you don't. Eventually, our goalkeeper will have to be dropped if he keeps making high profile errors. If he brings Ramsdale back in, then they're going to be like, well, what the fuck have you brought him in for? I genuinely think Roberto Martinez was interviewed about this just before the Luton game. And it was just after the Luton game, and he said Arteta, it's one of the rare mistakes he's made, because he brought in another number 1 keeper and he's unsettled the goalkeeping status quo. Now, the goalkeeper is the one position where you want confidence in your player, and it can't be unsettled or rumbled. So you bring in a rival, and they're both unequivocal number 1s. It's not like when you're bringing in a promising keeper who's going to push you if you make a mistake or whatever. This guy could come straight in, and yes, his distribution is better, and we wanted that to be an outlet, and Ramsdale's kicking could be better, but it's not as if Ramsdale is at his peak, so he will get better. So you could have stuck with Ramsdale and brought in a promising keeper, or brought in Karl forward for number 2, whatever. There's options, but Arteta chose to bring in someone to rival him and go, right, Ramsdale, your position ain't safe, and your goalkeeper cannot feel like that. And most pundits have said the same sort of thing. So Arteta only has himself to blame for this position. If he now when he put in Ramsdale for the Brentford game, because obviously Raya was cup tied, but he was unavailable, ineligible. Ramsdale made a boo boo. He didn't claim the cross, and no, he didn't. He was getting played back to him, and he nearly fluffed it. And that's one of the rare occasions where a goalkeeper can make an error, and he got bailed out because there was a defender clearing his lines. But when a goalkeeper makes a mistake, normally it leads to a goal, which is why it's always so fucking high profile. There is no solution that wins at the moment. You stick with Raya and you try and build his confidence up. Ramsdale's going to leave, and we lose out on an amazing keeper because we know Ramsdale's great. If Ramsdale comes in, Raya is then unsettled and his confidence is broken. It's going to take months to recover, and then Ramsdale's like, "Fuck, I can't put a fucking foot wrong, otherwise he's going to be back in." It's a no-win situation. It's a fucking mess, and it could get worse. It could undermine both keepers, and then they're both shit, and then we're fucked. I have no answer. I genuinely have no answer.
I mean, Danny, I know you and Femi have had this back and forth on whether Arteta, he leaves. He's not going to leave in January, is he? Like, he's just not. There's no way he leaves in January.
You can't, because then, like Jock says, with that situation, in this scenario, Raya gets injured. They go, "Well, you sold Ramsdale or loaned him out in January. What have you done, you fucking idiot?" The same people are going, "Well, you need to sell him and get rid of him. Sell him to Newcastle." All right, yeah, we've finally got a break in the Premier League, and Newcastle are knackered because Pope is going to be out for 4 or 5 months. Yeah, and that's given us an advantage. You don't even answer if it comes up on your phone, Newcastle or any sport in the Middle East. You just go block. I'm not having any of it. No, it's you can't sell it because I love Ramsdale. He's 25 years old, and he's going to learn from all of this. It'll make him a better man.
Yeah,
and a better keeper.
Yeah,
I think so. I agree. Yeah, we can't sell him, and I think Jockey nailed on the head. I think you have to stick with Raya, and you have to train him up and hope that he does get better, because those 2 goals yesterday were soft, like really soft. And like I said, if you come for the ball and you miss it, you take out the man as well. You have to.
Imagine if Onana made those boo-boos after.
We would be all over him.
Exactly. Everyone would be like, "What the fuck?" Because Onana is a great keeper, but I mean, his confidence is shot to shit.
So I can understand why people are over Ray, and I can't defend him. I said it yesterday. I can't. When people make mistakes like that, you can't defend them. You have to take it on the chin and say, "Look, it is what it is." You have to make sure now for the next game against Aston Villa, you play your heart out. You don't do things where you take risk. You just have to do it, because what he's going to do now, maybe he's going to overcompensate and try and play too safe, or maybe he's going to think, "Okay, I've got to try and make a save," because he didn't really make a save in that game. If you think about even though the shots, he didn't really make a save. We had 1 shot, 1 goal, and I think they had a few shots, but they were high, wide, and handsome. And I think the first shot they had on target was their goal, their set piece. So I think it was.
I think they as well. Like I said, it could get worse, and the goalkeeper solidifies the confidence in the defenders. And if you're not confident of the goalkeeper behind you, I think it could end up unsettling our defence. The sooner it's settled, the better. How you settle it, I don't know. I think you have to stick with Raya for now. Ramsdale needs to stay because I think he loves the club. His dad loves the club. All I can hear is fucking purring. I'm getting slightly turned on. I've got to be honest.
The more I tell him to shush, the more he does it, and he's too old and stupid to move.
It's fine, man. But I want Ramsdale to stay, and I still see him as our long-term number 1. But this is supposed to be, I think, a kick up the arse to Ramsdale to say, "Look, this is where you need to improve." The reason we brought Raya in is because his distribution and his footwork is better than yours at the moment. Shot stopping, equal. Ramsdale's probably better. Claiming aerially, Ramsdale is all over him. But because we need that ball play at the back, that's why Raya's in. So Ramsdale has to improve. Hopefully, he takes it as the kick up the arse that he needs. to improve and get better, and I think he will. Fingers crossed.
I mean, you're hoping so. Like, we have to obviously do a little bit better in that goalkeeping situation, because even conceding 3 goals, that was the first time Luton scored 3 goals since they come to the Premier League. Like, why against us? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, why against
well, it's like that. It's like that last season and the season before. Do you remember? Like, Everton hadn't had a win for 20 games. They played us, and we were in form, and it had to be us that they got their first win in 20 games.
Same against Southampton. Do you remember Southampton?
Yeah, exactly. We just seem to be that giving side. We're charitable, you know. We care about other people.
Yeah, I don't care about that much. I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, Danny, that was our sort of 6th win in a row, and we scored 18 goals in that time, and in that time we scored like 3 goals a game. So there's a little bit more stability with us at the moment. I think it started on defense. I mean, I didn't realize this stat. So do you know Arteta has only purchased, I think it was 2 attacking players since he's come to Arsenal, and that was obviously Trossard and Jesus. I guess now you can call Hazard, if you want to call him an attacking player. Don't know. No. Do you think that the next quote-unquote big purchase, or even just normal purchase from Arsenal, has to be a striker or centre-forward?
Only if we can do something with Eddie, because Eddie isn't going to do it. He's only had 1 good game this season against a team that would struggle in the Championship, to sack their manager and got one of their old managers in. They're a club in turmoil run by people who don't understand football, which is why they voted for the loan thing. We need to get rid of Eddie. He is not going to do it. It's a shame, because anyone who listened to the pod, I've kept you updated with Eddie all the way since we signed him at 16-year-old, and give you an update of his stats and how he's doing in the under-18s, the under-21s, doing for England, and then the League Cup games. And then he's reached a level where he is probably one of the worst players to score a Premier League hat-trick. I can't think of any others that are generally worse. Although he's a lovely bloke, and he's a gooner, and he's a Haylim boy. Signed for us on this. He got released by Chelsea on the same day as Declan Rice did. I didn't know that until I heard.
Yeah, they're good friends. Still good friends. Yeah. Them and Mason Mount.
But we do need we need someone who, when Jesus is off wandering all over the place, and he's not angry like he was last night, we need to bring someone else on who can score goals. We've seen that he's not going to put Martinelli up front, which I think Martinelli has done a little bit of that for Brazil. And Martinelli said, I love playing for the Brazil manager. I have got so much freedom. I've never had this much freedom in ever. I think Martinelli would be fantastic playing him up front. And then we've got plenty of players that we can move out to the left-hand side, because we've got Trossard, who, although I love Trossard, he whenever he touches the ball feels full of helium. He is horrendous at wasting really good chances and putting the ball over. So Trossard isn't the answer up front. He's good in the left 8, but we need someone who's going to do it. Now, getting someone like Mbappe, that would fix everything, but he's never going to come to us. We're never going to... Well, he's on a free transfer, isn't he? Maybe he is. Maybe
he is, but we'd have to get rid of the tea lady, and also get rid of every single backroom star to
fund the whole fucking lot.
To fund him.
He can have El Neni as his Man Friday, and he can have Eddie as well as if he wants, and he can have Cedric. He can have all 3 of them as Men Fridays. You can have a different man for every day of the week. No, that reminds me of something that's not good. We don't want to do that. That's dodgy. We're averaging over our last 6 games, Karl. We're averaging 3 goals a game, and here I am saying we need a bloody forward. So what the fuck do I know?
That's a good point, man. I mean, I feel sorry for Eddie, because he had a good run in the team last season, and he scored a fair amount of goals, and he had a few games this season, and scored a couple of goals, but he's never assured you enough that if he played for a whole season that he'd get you 20 odd goals. And the problem is, when you directly compare him to Jesus, he may score on a par with Jesus, maybe 15, 16 goals in the season, but he will definitely not give you everything that Jesus does in terms of the interplay in and around the box and the chasing down and the pressure in. He doesn't give you enough. I think he could cut it at another Premier League side, but I also like the fact that we've got this able backup who's happy. Well, I mean, we know he's not happy, but he seems to be loyal enough to sit on the bench and get his 20 games a season. And there's not many strikers who would give you 10 to 15 goals a season, be happy, predominantly playing second fiddle to the first choice striker. So he does have a role to play. It's like the El Neni thing. El Neni always comes on and gives you a 7 out of 10. He's happy with 20 games a season, and he is perfect filler. You need those squad players. And now, if we sold Eddie, I'd completely understand, and I wouldn't shed a tear. I'd understand, but we got rid of Balogun as well. And you're like, well, where does that leave us? Now, Trossard's versatile. He can play as the 9. Havertz can play as the 9. Martinelli, if forced, could play the 9. We've got options, but we do need backup. And I think we've got able backup everywhere, aside from injuries. And Eddie is a big part of that. So we need him.
I hear you, and I totally understand. My issue is, remember the Wolves game when it was 2-1, and he got put through on goal, and he was one-on-one with a goalkeeper, and he missed. Now I understand strikers can miss one-on-ones, but in a high pressurized environment, you don't miss those. A good striker does not miss that chance. When you're one-on-one, there's no one around you. And yes, he hit the post, and either or like inch left or he goes in, but if buts and maybes, you got to score that. Now, if Eddie scored that and come on, people call him an impact player. He's never come on off the bench and scored in a Premier League game. That is, for me, that's an amazing stat. The amount of times he's come off the bench. And you have to, in those times, you have to take your chances. He didn't take that chance. I mean, people look at him and say, we got a hat-trick against Sheffield United, I think it was. Again, it was Sheffield United. Look how bad they are. If you have a hat trick against even a mid to top team, then I might rate you. But that just shows his level. You get a hat trick against Sheffield United, that shows your actual level of where you are. So yeah, I'm not overly impressed.
So if we got rid of him, let's say we got rid of him, Karl, do you think we'd have enough up top for the season?
Now, no, not at all. Not in the slightest. We can't get rid of him in January. There's no way, because Jesus is always getting
injury.
I would say that. And you need someone to score goals. At the end of the season, we'll talk. But January, I don't see a single player that could leave us in January and not make us weaker.
No, you're 100%.
Not play with our squad. Yeah. We have to keep every single person, even if from Ramsdale to Nketiah.
I'd even argue Cedric has a part to play, considering our defensive injuries right now. Cedric is going to come in. I guarantee you, with our injuries, he's going to play.
That's an absolutely marvelous segue, because I want to talk about Tomiyasu. Okay. So Tomiyasu is injured. Tomiyasu is injured once again. He's got a calf strain, like Danny mentioned earlier. Jock, why can't this guy stay fit?
Oh, mate, it's like, have you read the history book on fucking Kieran Tierney? That boy is even worse. He's made of papier-mâché, I swear to God. He can't keep fit. But the problem with Tomiyasu is it's a recurring thing. And like we were, it was in the WhatsApp groups. I can't remember who referenced it, but it's the load-bearing muscle. It takes a lot of punishment. And when it does go, because it doesn't go as often as the hammy or the groin or whatever, but when it does go, it will keep you out for a while. So hence why he's not coming back till February. And the way he runs himself ragged, it's kind of par for the course for that kind of player. I mean, he's really, really, he's hench. He looks really robust, but his calf muscles ain't. And we're going to miss his versatility. We're going to miss the fact that on the right or the left, he is solid as fuck. Yep. He's just so reliable. I love the guy.
And he's perfect when he moves around from one side to the other during a game.
I know,
immediately.
He's one of those players you just can't complain about. You don't often see him slip up. He doesn't put a foot wrong. He is going to be a big miss. We don't know how much of a miss Jurriën Timber is going to be, because we have barely seen him in the shirt, but we know how good he is. Tomiyasu's done it for 2 seasons, and we know what we're going to miss. And yet, White can fill in on the right and the left, but there's a degree of rotation you need for the fullbacks, and that means Cedric will play. And I think the guy. Don't get me wrong, he's not Arsenal class, but he will put a shift in, and he's not without talent. And when he was at Southampton, he was pretty nifty, and he didn't do a bad job every now and then for us. There's a reason why he's like fucking 85th choice, but I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's the nightmare that everyone's putting it out to be. I just think that that's the reason we have cover, like in-depth cover everywhere, because we're playing 60 games a season, and the intensity we play with, we're gonna get muscle injuries. It's just gonna happen. The fact it happened to Tomiyasu is a fucking nightmare, though. I think you're on mute, Karl.
My issue there is when Arteta says he's going to be out for a long time, I worry. I really, really worry, because Arteta is someone who keeps his cards very close to his chest. He doesn't really reveal anything.
That's a good
and
point.
the fact that he said that was kind of like a little bit worrying, because I'm assuming he's going to go have surgery.
Yeah.
So is this now a season-ending injury? Are we going to see Tomiyasu again this season? Because the fact that he said that just makes me think, he would normally say, "Oh, we're assessing." He would keep it close to his chest, especially, with Aston Villa coming up and then Liverpool and things like that. You like just keep it close to your chest. Like even with Partey, no one knows what's happened to Thomas Partey. No one knows, because he's just always got a muscle injury. That's it. That's all we're saying. The fact that Arteta's come out straight away, he's going to be out for a while. You're thinking, shit, what's happening? So I've just got a bad feeling we're not going to see Tomiyasu again for the rest of the season.
And the worrying thing is that they've already reported that Ben White, our other reliable fullback, is nursing an injury because he's played so much. So,
he wasn't fit yesterday. You look at him yesterday; he was well off the pace.
So it's a possibility we're down to what? Zinchenko,
Cedric,
and then we're looking
Ben White.
at
Ben White. Yeah, and that's it. And then you're looking at youth team players. So, and the problem is, you look at Zin, and obviously Kivior. Obviously, he can play left back as well.
Of course. Kivior,
So, I worry about that right hand side. That right back position is because Ben White cannot. So, you think Ben White cannot play? I mean, you look at our December. So, Danny, can you get the fixtures up, please, for December? Because we have got so many games.
Arteta reference, we're playing like every 3 days.
So you're hoping against Aston Villa, Ben White will play. Against PSV, we're through. We are top. We're through, and there's no chance of us not topping that table.
Everyone.
So you're hoping Ben White does not play that game, especially knowing that we've got Brighton a few days later. So
did you see the financial implications? Right, the PSV game is a dead rubber, right? But did you see the financial implications if we win that PSV game? I think it was like an extra 7 to 10 million.
Why?
But I thought we were really top the group.
I know. But I think there's something about like win record in the Champions League or something, or what every win represents in the Champions League. It's like decent money. So, but what Arteta should do, and every Arsenal fan would be justified in going absolutely mental at Arteta if he played any of the first 11 we need, like Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, Declan Rice, all of them rest. Gabriel, Saliba, rest all of them. There is no need for them to play, especially they're travelling as well to the Philips Stadium, if it's still called the Philips Stadium.
I think
it's madness.
So I think you can almost guarantee that Saliba and Gabriel will play. I think because we don't have anything. If you look about who else do we play? If we don't play Saliba and Gabriel, who else do we play in defence? We literally have no who. Yeah, we literally have no one. Because if you say, okay, Kivior is going to come in for Zinchenko, if you say, I don't know if Cedric's in the Champions League squad.
I think he named him in it. I'm sure he named him in it because everyone was like, "What the fuck's Cedric in there for?"
So you have to. So for me, you have to play Cedric against PSV, no matter what. Like even if he plays for 75 minutes and you bring on Ben White, he has to start that. He has to start the game as well. Like not just come on, he has to start that game. Reece Nelson coming for Saka, and then obviously if we're not winning, then bring Saka on. That if you really want to try and win that game, but Reece Nelson has to play.
Eddie, Leandro Trossard.
Trossard has to play. I would start Eddie rather than Jesus. You would start Jorginho instead of Declan Rice. Sorry, instead of Declan Rice. You may Patrick Vieira, hear me. It's Vieira instead of Odegaard. I mean, I would make a whole
injured.
I know he had. Is he injured? Because I remember he had his 3-game ban.
It's deceptive. It's deceptive. We got so many injuries. We got Smith Rowe's out. Party's out. Jesus Christ! You know what? It's catching up with everyone.
Oh yeah, every team, like, it's not just Arsenal. Like, every team has got some major injuries.
Winter World Cup, mate, messed everyone up.
It's just. It's ridiculous. So you're hoping that we make some really wholesale change to that PSV game, because then we got Brighton at home, and Brighton's going to be no easy game.
Like, do you remember when they stuffed us 3-0? It wasn't that long ago.
Oh yeah, they killed us. Like, it was they killed us that game, and then we got Liverpool.
Oh.
And then a couple of days after that, we got West Ham. A couple of days we got do you know what I mean? Liverpool, and then we got West Ham in the FA Cup. Like, it's a game that. That December is thick and fast. So you think to yourself, Ben White is going to play at home to Brighton. He's also going to play away to Liverpool. He's also going to play at home to West Ham. He might get a rest against Fulham, which will put Cedric against Fulham. Maybe
3-0 up against Forest.
Forest,
Wobie scored.
Oh bloody hell! I've seen no times.
Jimenez got 2.
Gee, he ain't scored in time.
I don't think it sounds Raul.
So you're thinking to yourself, Ben White is going to have to play a lot of games over the festive season. If he's not 100%, you don't want to lose Ben White, and then you have to play Cedric at right back. So it's you want to have the option to play Cedric, not be forced to play Cedric. I think that's a massive thing. So yes, we're not looking. I think as much as people say we've got a big squad, our squad is very, very thin, like extremely thin. And like, Danny, do you think that there's a chance where possibly in a January transfer window, because you think it's only a month away, that we're going to be looking at maybe a fullback or some sort of defensive player to bring in, because at that time we are very thin on that back line?
Well, in years gone by, we didn't really do loans. When you had a loan, it was very strange. You had Batista, and then we had... I'm trying to think of the ones we had in the Wenger era. There wasn't many, but then when Arteta's taken over, we've had quite a few. I mean, even at the moment, our main goalkeeper's on loan, so he does like a loan. But whether he's going to buy someone, I think managers prefer to. If you buy in January, you're going to pay more, and teams aren't going to want to sell, which is why they cost more. I think sometimes they'd rather wait till the summer. But then you take the risk of, if you do wait until the summer, then like last season we should have won the league. And if he'd have bought in January a couple of decent backup players, then maybe we would have won the league, because when Saliba went out, we were knackered. And there's been rumours that we're after Douglas Luiz of Villa.
He ain't going anywhere without the biggest bid. I mean, he's been on fire, which has just upped his value. The Aston Villa are flying. We'd have to go in with
70 plus.
Yeah, definitely.
And anyone thinking we can get him for... Ivan Toney's going for 80 plus.
And we won't be buying him because he has baggage.
Well, we're close to the limit in terms of our spending as well, so we have to sell.
Yeah.
And then ideally, we need. Can we?
What we could do?
We need to get a fullback in on loan, someone who plays both sides. But again, that's what Cedric does. We can't have 5 players who all play on both sides at fullback because they keep getting injured. It's not Football Manager. We're not allowed to do that. The only thing we can do is do like what I'm doing in Football Manager with ABWFC. I'm 3/4 of the way through my second season. I haven't lost a game yet. That's it. I'm playing 3 at the back, 1 DM, 2 in central midfield, 2 wingers, a 10, and a striker. That's what we need to do. We've got plenty. Just play Kivior, Gabriel, and Saliba as 3 centre backs, and everyone else can have a rest. Well, we've seen that Martinelli and Saka are pretty good.
With the 3 centre backs at the start of the season, and we looked a pale imitation of ourselves.
Yeah,
it takes a while to bed that.
But he changed that quickly, didn't he? Like,
but when we were attacking, we played 3 at the back anyway.
I hear that, but we can't when we're defending and you're coming. Remember, those games coming thick and fast. So I think we're going to have to manage the load that we put in our players ahead of it. Oh my God! So I just see. Man United just scored against Man United, and it was the worst goal you've ever seen. But so if this is my club and Arteta comes to me and says, Karl, who should we buy? I would say we need some sort of defensive. Obviously, come on. We need some sort of defensive player. We have to, because I think we was going to lose. Either way, we were going to lose Tomiyasu in January anyway. He was either going to go to the Asia Games or now we've lost him to injury. So we was going to lose him anyway.
Isn't there Cup of Nations, Africa Cup of Nations this January as well?
Africa Cup of Nations as well. So no one knows what's happening with Thomas Partey. Not a single person, and it's gone really, really quiet. And obviously, he's got his off-field issues. And my inclination is that his injury is more to do with off-field issues than anything else. Again, I don't know anything. I'm not speculating. I'm just saying,
hunch tells you that there's something
that is more.
It's like our goals, they're mounting and mounting. Like Man City's charges, there's another one every day.
So I've got a feeling it's more off-field issues than anything that's kind of happening with him.
Because we're losing 7 people to the AFCON, aren't we? We're losing El Neni, Partey, and 5 people to keep an eye on Partey.
Daniel.
AirPod Albert's going. Half of the pit crew are going. Arteta's taking over at midweek.
Yeah,
you can only because, like you say, Karl, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Everything's really hush hush, but so you can only judge it on what he's given us at the moment. And at the moment, the last 2 seasons especially, he's given us 15 games where we're like, holy shit, we cannot lose this guy to injury. And then we have about 40 games where he's either missing or getting back up to speed. It's not enough for a starting midfield.
Oh, he's got to go. Either way, next season, either January. I put it this way: if we sold him in January, I wouldn't be upset because we haven't played him enough to miss him. So if he went in January, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, and I think even at his age and his injury profile, if we got 20 million for him, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, you got to take it. I think you got to take a hit. Apparently, Juventus want him. They're a bit.
Juventus are not going to pay 20. Juventus are not paying 20 million for him. Yeah, they're not paying. No Italian club is paying like 20 million for a club like that. So,
I made this a while ago. Jeez. This was up to what the red ones are the games that it's the last 4 seasons with Partey. This goes up to the Sheffield United game. He's been in the squad 86 out of 119, starting 11, 72 out of 119. He's come in 13 times, but played 85 out of 119 games. Well, how many games have we played since Sheffield United? So he's played 85 out of 125, and
so he's missed 40. So he's missed a third.
Yeah,
you'd say a third of his potential appearances he's missed, and he's played 2/3. So on the face of it, that doesn't sound as bad. But it feels like he's missed a lot more.
Lost 9 of the 51 games where he's played 91 minutes. And we only lose 17% of the games, Karl, when he plays the whole game, which is the point we were making.
This is what I'm saying. When he plays, he's a good player. Like,
he's magnificent.
Put it this way, I know for a fact that this season, Partey, Rice and Odegaard should have been our starting midfield 3.
Yeah.
And imagine if we had that midfield 3, we would be we would be brilliant. And the fact that Arteta has never been able to play that midfield 3 is just, it's almost a crying shame. It really is. But we can't afford, I mean, Partey's 31 now, I believe. We can't afford to carry him anymore.
It's only going to get worse.
He's got 1 more season left, I believe, on his contract. And like I said, anything above 20 million is a bonus. 15, you're kind of like, all right, even 10. But we all know what's going to happen. We're going to end up leaving. He's going to end up leaving for free, like, depending on what the issues are. I mean, even him, we was going to lose him in January as well. And if he ends up making a miraculous recovery to go to the African Cup of Nations and then comes back injured, then I think that tells you everything you need to know about the issues he's having personally. So, but anyway, that's Thomas Partey. We'll move on. Danny, I'm going to wrap this up really quickly. So, listeners, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat and Danny will filter them out. Jock, Saka. I mean, obviously, he is the best player the world has ever seen. Like, he's
agreed.
How he's not won 17 Ballon d'Ors, like, I really don't understand. But when you see him play, I mean, he dips in and out of games, and he has, like, some days you see him and you think, oh, Saka, do something. But then you realize he does actually do something all the time. And I think the stat was, and I think if people are on YouTube, you'll see the screen, of the 25 Premier League teams he's played, he's either assisted or scored against every single one of them. How many players can say that?
And there's a few things you've got to keep in mind. One, we forget how young this boy is because he's been playing for us for what seems like an age. Two,
well, Alan Davies says he's about 12, isn't he?
It's insane, isn't it? It really is. But the boy is brick. I mean, he's purebred muscle. The boy's strong. Two, consistency-wise, he's been doing it now solid for 2.5 seasons, where he's got week in, week out. He's a change maker. He's on the pitch and he does something. It may not come off, through the 90 minutes, but there'll be a moment in the game where he creates something or does something himself. Now, then you add into the fact that the players of his ilk, the way he takes on players, he's confrontational, he makes things happen. These players have to lose the ball because no player isn't going to have 100% success rate. Messi doesn't have 100% success rate when he's taking a player on through skill. When he's going one-on-one with a defender or a fullback, he has to lose the ball. And I think he's afforded that luxury of where we go, oh, he's lost the ball, but he's going to do something. And how many players have we had in the last 10 years where you're just waiting for Saka to do something? I can only think of Henry in the Wenger years.
Sanchez.
Where he's going to do something. Yeah, maybe Sanchez. I mean, but every single game you expect him to do something. Sanchez. That's it. This boy is beyond special. And I'd move heaven and fucking earth to tie him up to a 100-year contract. I love him so much.
I love him more.
It's just not possible, Danny. Honestly, the boy
I've got him tattooed on both buttocks, both smiling. One in an England kit and one in an Arsenal kit.
He is undervalued by England.
And the FA, they don't give a fuck about him. If he was playing for Spurs, any player that even looked at him at the wrong angle, they'd be booked. Playing for Arsenal, go on, lads, kick him.
Yeah, kick lumps out of him. But
one of the three best players for England.
Oh yeah, by a million miles. But yeah, he even knows. I mean, you've seen it now. You said at the start of the game, Karl, that he's been doubled up on, and you see every game now. And he's still doing something. Yeah. What other player can say that? Everyone's going nuts for Jude Bellingham. Fuck Jude Bellingham. It's Bukayo Saka, motherfucker. Sorry.
Go on, Danny, you were saying? Or he's dropped out. Go on, Danny, you were saying?
I was enthusiastically brushing my beard with my back scratch and unplugged my ear things. I don't know what's just said.
Oh, God. I think if Bukayo Saka played for any other team, apart from Arsenal, people will be raving about him because he does it week in, week out. And I think because he does it week in, week out, people just expect it from him. They don't think, oh my God, like he's absolutely world class. Like
he's killing it, yeah.
And he is, because there is not. I mean, Mo Salah is Mo Salah. You know, no one, as much as you hate Liverpool or whatever, Mo Salah is an extremely good player. Has been for
the Egyptian World Cup.
But he has been very good for the past 6 odd years. Like he's been brilliant. Apart from
like us with Kane.
him, you
have to admit Kane was a good player until he signed for Bayern.
Yeah, now he's brilliant. Of course,
magic.
But apart from Salah, name another winger in the Premier League that's as good or even halfway up there. I mean, yeah, Sterling had his time.
Yeah.
He was when he was at Man City, he was very good. Like, we can't deny how good he was. There's no one else. Like, and Saka, because
everyone goes nuts for Phil Foden, right? Phil
Dirty
Foden,
bastard.
his numbers, his impact is nowhere near. You can't say it in the same breath. It's
not at all. Not at all. Like, he pops up with goals here and there, and everyone goes nuts for him. Like,
yeah,
not at all. I remember when we played Man City one season, and I remember Guardiola was literally raving about Saka, and I think if Saka didn't sign that contract, he'd be at Man City. Same as Martinelli. I think Martinelli definitely would be at Man City if he didn't sign that contract, because they're such good players. And Saka, for me, if his trajectory carries on the way he is, he's going to be out of this world. Like, he literally, you're going to start talking about him like in the same realms. And I know I don't want to go too mad, but you're going to start talking about him in the same realms as the best Arsenal player of all time. I mean, everyone's got their own opinion. Everyone's got their own opinions of who they think the best Arsenal player is of all time. Is it Henry? Is it Ian Wright? Is it Dennis Bergkamp? Is it Tony Adams? Is it Patrick Vieira? You're going to start talking about him in that context, and you're going to start narrowing it down because he is that good, and we have to keep him. I remember me and Danny doing a podcast when, we was asking for him to sign the contract because we didn't know where it was going to go, and if we lose him, and how much should we pay him? And I remember saying to Danny, you've got to give him, if he comes into that room, him and his agent, and says, I think he was like 21 at the time, 21. I want 200.
Hold on a sec there. Yes. Before
if he says, I want 200 grand, but fuck the haggling. Fuck the haggling.
Double.
Yes. 200 grand. Yes. Okay. No worries. No worries. And you want me to buy you a house as well? Okay. No worries. And you want a car to work? Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
You have to give certain players, you have to give them what they want. I can't remember who it was I was with, and you have to say, and someone said, oh no, he's young. You have to sort of decide not pay him too much too quickly. Fuck that, because when you wrap up talent like that, you have to keep them. It's the same with Saliba. Saliba is a Rolls Royce of a player. So when him and his agent said, oh, we want 150 grand, okay, let's be very honest with each other. We know we're going to lose Saliba to Real Madrid. He's not staying with us. He's going to leave us. Yeah, let's be honest. Saliba definitely is leaving us. I don't care what anyone says. And when he leaves us, we need to make sure, number one, we get the maximum amount for him. And if you're talking about Van Dijk was the highest defender at what? Was it 75 mil? I can't remember. Was it? Yeah. No, it's Harry. Yeah. It's Harry Dickett, isn't it?
Oh,
Harry Maguire.
Yeah, he was
85.
So if Harry Maguire is 85 million, you're talking about Saliba being the first defender worth more than 100
over
million.
100. Yeah,
we could pay off the national debt for how much Saliba's worth.
I think there are players who are exceptional circumstance, like players who will lead the line for years to come, who you can form a team round. And Saliba, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, and Martinelli are a spine. And if you keep them for 4 or 5 years, and Odegaard, 4 or 5 years, they could do amazing things given the right resources around them. They can do the bulk of the work. They're 100%. Magic.
By next year, you need to start talking to Saliba again about a contract.
Fuck yeah.
By next year, you have to start saying to them, okay, you signed a 4-year contract, you've got 2 or 18 months left.
We need to do the Chelsea contracts.
7-year deal.
Yeah, 7-year flipping out, yeah. That's brilliant. So, I'll quickly touch on Aston Villa. So Aston Villa at the moment, they're playing Man City, and I think they're drawing 0-0. And at the moment, I think almost they're on top. So against Aston Villa, you know what you're going to come up against, and you're going to have the dickhead of a keeper who's going to try and play out of his skin to stop us. The manager's not going to be on the touchline, but he's going to have obviously his hands-free kit, and like he said, he's going to be in the ear hole of the assistant. John, what do you think we've got a chance against Aston Villa? Because they're playing very well at the moment. You can't deny that they're not. Ollie Watkins is in absolutely scintillating form.
Yeah.
I think Leon Bailey, who's playing well. Like they've got a really good team about them. So we're going to play very well against them. So what do you rate our chances?
Is it a home or away? I've not
It's
checked.
away.
Villa Park. Okay, that changes a lot.
And they are
I think if at
fantastic
home, I
at home.
think we could have it. We would have enough to maybe slide through. I think we're going to drop points. One, I think we're going to be massively jaded. I mean, yeah, the confidence and the emotion from the Luton game is going to carry you through to an extent. But if we don't score early goals, I think Aston Villa will settle into the game, and they've got more than enough. The only saving grace is that we've got an extra day's rest, and they're going to be going full tilt at City. And like Danny said, they're looking on top against City. If they continue and they get a stature draw or a win or maybe a last gasp defeat, they're going to be out on their feet. And I think that may play into our hands. But one, the fact it's a Villa Park. Two, the fact that Villa have been on fire. Three, they are scoring goals all over the pitch. Douglas Luiz is popping up with plenty as well. It's going to be a very, very tall order. But again, this season and last season, you can't count against us. And I think with Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, and Jesus, I think they can do anything. I'm going to go tight 2-1 win. But I wouldn't be surprised if we drop points as well, to be fair.
Okay, that's good. Danny, what do you think against Aston Villa?
Well, looking at that, we've got for people at home on the toilet having a poo and walking the dog, or even indeed doing the washing.
Literally at the same time, that would be fucking amazing.
It's it's time saving. You can brush your teeth in the shower. You can shit while you're washing up. Looking at the league table, Villa are fourth in the league table, and they've played 6 at home, won 6, scored 23, conceded 5. So they've scored nearly 4 goals a game, and they've conceded less than 1. Ours is better because we played 2 more games, but they are the only team in the league, apart from Liverpool, that have won, and Liverpool are away, that won every single game. I would be happy with a draw. Historically, Arteta does do quite well against Emery. But they have got they've got dirty players, remember. The one of the ones that wound me up the most, you got that McGinn bloke, can't stand him.
John McGinn.
Yeah.
Meatball. They call him Meatball for...
Yeah. Louise is a dirty bastard. And who's the centre-back bloke, the one they got from Bournemouth? He's out injured at the moment. He's always crying about it on Twitter.
From Bournemouth?
I think they got him from Bournemouth. Is he Dutch? I can't remember. Someone in the chat will know his name. He's another dirty bastard, but he's injured, so he won't be playing. And then you got the king fucker of the lot of them is Martinez, and we've got the skill to make them all look silly. But I was just watching, like you, Karl. I was watching the Man City game, and Luiz had the ball on the right hand side of their area, and he was holding on to it, dribbling all through all the Man City players, getting it and going back again and doing it again. You think, bloody hell, this bloke is meant to be a DM, and he's acting like a right winger. So,
he's doing stuff like he's playing well, very, very well.
You know who's dating?
Oh, isn't it
Alicia Lehman?
Yeah,
I think she plays for West Ham.
I think she plays for Villa Women.
I think she did. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Very wrong. Oh, sorry. That's all for the tangent. It doesn't really matter who he's dating, to be fair.
Steve Cooper's losing his job, isn't he? Steve Cooper's definitely gone, hasn't he?
Probably the ugliest man in football.
But don't you think it's weird that we are now in December and only the first manager lost his job like yesterday? That's never happened before. That's very, very weird.
That's because most clubs are still paying the money to their managers for their last 5 managers. Well, Chelsea are still paying for 10 managers, probably.
It's like, for me, I don't understand. These newly promoted clubs who get rid of their managers, like Sheffield United. Let's be very honest. Sheffield United are not going to stay in the Premier League, and surely their owners know this. So why would you sack the manager? Like, what do you think our next manager is going to do to try and keep it up? It's not going to happen. Because even when Everton appeal their points, and let's say it gets half, which, let's be very honest, Everton are going to appeal, and it's going to be half. So it'll be 5 points that they get deducted. Sheffield United are still going to be bottom of the table. So I don't understand these newly promoted clubs sacking their managers. Like, I really don't. It's beyond me.
I think it's. I mean, it was different, like you mentioned last season, where there was. It was quite evident that some weren't playing for the manager. Paul Heckingbottom, through a miracle, got him up. This is the first season where all three promoted sides that came up, you look at their squads and you're like, you are going straight down. There is a massive gulf in class. Like when Nottingham Forest came up last season and they splurged loads of money.
30
Exactly.
players.
And they bought class as well. They bought some really good players. And you're like, oh, you've got a shot. I mean, it'll be difficult to gel them. And Steve Cooper did an amazing job. But this Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United are fucking turgid. They are awful. Luton are just a bunch of cloggers. Burnley, I feel sorry for Vincent Kompany, but he's gone with youth and he's gone brave and he's gone with a few not household names. So it was a bit of a gamble. And Paul Heckingbottom, he did it by a miracle getting him up, and he's lost the squad. So Chris Wilder's come in, he made amends with the chairman.
Played
blah,
really
blah,
good
blah.
football under Chris Wilder. Remember they had their centre backs with the actors' wingers. They found out after. I mean, they were up near the top of the table at Christmas, and then he pushed them so far forward, people didn't know what to do with them, and then they realised when they played everybody for the second time, they got found out. But for part of that season. Playing a striker centre backs.
But I think if you've lost this, I think if the chairman recognises that the manager's lost the squad, like Heckingbottom had, you bring him in before the January transfer window, the new manager. So you go, right, you can have your pick of a few players, and you can build a squad to come straight back up. Then it gives them a fighting chance. I mean, I kind of get it, but if you sack a manager after the January transfer window, I think that's even crazier. What chance are you giving them? What's the fucking point? You're going down anyway. Stick with your man and build. That's what I would say.
It's like sacking somebody like February, March. It's like, what do you want this new manager to do? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you eating, man?
I'm not eating American M&Ms that I got from when I went to America at all. So I'm not eating those.
Look at my tagline: the carnivore diet. I'm pissing every 3 hours.
Is that what's happening? Is that like the Atkins diet, where it's just meat?
Atkins is for wankers. No, I'm eating hard cheese, cream, milk, anything dairy, as long as it's hard, and then meat and fish. I also
that sounds so wrong.
The only soup I can have is Heinz chicken soup, cream of chicken soup. There's only. But
you're adding more cream to it, aren't you?
Yeah, you need fat in your diet. You need loads of fat. It's working.
No, Danny, you fucking don't. The amount of salt that's in, the amount of salt that's in that as well.
I had Himalayan's finest. Now I put a couple of tablespoons in it because there was 2 whole chicken breasts in it.
A couple of tablespoons of what?
Believe me, you try it for a week and you'll go, my pants don't fit because you're
Danny,
active.
you're gonna kill yourself, mate. What the fuck?
Danny, if you die, there'll be no podcast because Chris ain't gonna fucking come on, is he?
You don't need. I agree with putting extra chicken in. Don't put extra cream in it, dude. Please.
I ate it and it was lovely. Now
I'm sure you did. I'm sure it was, Danny.
I'd put those M&Ms in it if I could. Chicken and M&Ms. You ain't lived.
So
right, Danny, get our listener questions quickly.
Sorry. Oh dear. We've only got 2.
No.
And we have got one, both from Jimmy, as usual. Jimmy says, an early question, looking at the budget, how can you warrant spending 30 million on Raya, I think it's 27.5, when he has made so many mistakes in the 15 starts he has had than Rambo has made overall in his time in goal? Jock, what do you think?
Because we're going... sorry.
Karl.
No. I was going to say, because we know we're going to get minimum 50 million for Raya. So I think they saw as soon as Ramsdale signed that new contract, we already knew we was going to get David Raya. So that's just putting more value onto Ramsdale. We know some team is going to pay 50 million for Ramsdale. Won't be Chelsea because Sanchez at Chelsea is pony, absolute pony. So I can see him going to Chelsea. They're not going. Newcastle won't sign him. You're looking at teams with money. Newcastle won't sign him. Chelsea won't. Liverpool won't. Tottenham won't because he won't go to Tottenham, and we won't sell to Tottenham. So realistically, unless he goes abroad, he's definitely staying
He's
Unless he goes
northern. He'll
abroad.
never learn another language. I mean, like Jock
No.
still struggle with English. You're very northern.
What?
Eh?
Yeah, so if you look at it, he's only going to go to either Chelsea, maybe West Ham.
Because Chelsea can almost have a starting 11 of goalkeepers. That'd be interesting.
Very
Worth
true, but yeah.
250 million.
So I can't see him going anywhere but Chelsea. But
I don't want
50
him to
million.
go.
You don't want him to go, but he's not going to stay. You're right. You don't want. No one wants him to go, but
Don't
he's
make
definitely
me
not
get
gonna
his
stay.
dad on here.
Fucking hell.
Man. That would be brilliant. I love that man.
Yeah. Sorry, John. What was you going to say? What was you going to say about him?
I would just touch upon my when we were talking about it before. I don't think there's a clear solution at the moment. Whether you drop Raya, keep him in, everyone's a loser. Ramsdale's a loser. Raya's a loser. It doesn't. There's going to be repercussions for whatever solution. The only way you can look at it is long term. Raya's going to be in for this season. It's hopefully going to bring him training with Ray and seeing how good he is with his feet will bring Ramsdale up to that required level, and Ramsdale will come in and then we'll hopefully make a profit on Raya. I don't know, or we'll keep Raya and we'll sell Ramsdale. This situation cannot continue for another season. There has to be a bona fide number one and a bona fide number two. You can't have two number ones clashing like this. It's fucking mental. It's destroying confidence. And goalkeepers are built on confidence, and neither of them. Both of them are rattled as fuck. Massively. So
I think so. I think they're both scared of making a mistake and the other one coming in.
Yeah, big time.
And Ramsdale was voted Premier League goalie for last season by his fellow professionals. Raya wasn't.
Crazy.
There you go.
Ramsdale could be England number one. He should be number one in the summer when Everton are in the Championship and no one.
But no one rates fucking mental Pickford. God, fuck! What the fuck is?
Come on, Aaron.
Out there?
We've got your back, son. We ain't got your back.
Jordan
But we're with you. We support you. Right. Next question is from Jimmy again. He says, when it comes to decisions against us with VAR decisions, at what point do we agree that VAR is trying to pick points for certain teams and not others, as clearly there is some type of agenda with VAR? And that goes for us, that goes for Wolves. I think West Ham have had a couple. Sheffield United have had a few. All the shit teams are getting it, and us.
It mystifies me. This is the point I keep coming back to with VAR.
Put in excess on us. Wipe the oranges, mother.
It mystifies me, right? This software, this myriad of technology has been brought in to look at a specific incident in a game from every single angle possible, and you can put it in slow motion, and you can stop play, and you can stop it, and you can fast forward, you can zoom in, you've got the power to look at it in any which way, and you've got referees looking at it. So there is no conceivable way that there should be any mistakes at all. Never mind the caliber of mistakes that have been made in VAR, like if the ball was out, or how can they overlook that push on Gabriel, and the mistakes that have happened with Wolves when they should have had a penalty. Look, I mean, the list goes on. We're not talking, but every now and then a mistake creeps in. But with the technology available and the resources available, no mistake should happen. Never mind the mistakes that you can see while you're in the stands. Never mind that you've got 80 cameras looking at it from every single fucking angle. It's insane. And there is zero consistency as well. We don't know the handball rule. Right, look at that. There was a penalty given. It sprang up off his chest and then onto his arm. I think it was Tino Livramento for Newcastle. I mean, it's pure karma, let's be honest. But it should never have been a fucking penalty against PSG. It's just, there's no consistency. Rules aren't clear. Drawing those lines and someone's fucking toenail or testicles offside. And
we don't have a view for that angle. That camera for that angle bullshit.
Yeah, to see if it's out or not. I mean, you had people recreating it in the Sky Sports studio. If you look at it from this angle, the ball's out. They shouldn't be coming down to this. You've got professional referees and 80 cameras or 30 cameras looking at it, and you've got time to look at it. Get on with it. Stop making errors. And if you can't do it, take it out of the game.
You had anything to that, Karl?
No, I genuinely agree. I just... Yeah. Do you know what it is with VAR? I've genuinely given up with decisions going our way. Like I just think it's stupid. Yeah, I mean, you think of the penalty yesterday, like where Gabriel arm was literally being held. And if you think back to last season, do you remember when Trossard scored against Brighton? No, who was it? And remember Ben White was holding the apparently holding the goalkeeper's arm. I can't remember who it was, what team it was against. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Where
there's no consistency, is there?
Yeah, the bar. I mean, you think of when even the Wolves game when Jesus went for a header, was being pulled back, nothing. But then you look at again the Man City versus Man United game when Haaland got touched and all of a sudden it was a penalty. You never get a penalty for that. And just it's like they're not even trying to. It's like they're not trying to hide it. How biased and how fake they are now.
Yeah,
just doing it on purpose. And the fact that it's not even it's a dictatorship because you say one word against the PGMOL or against VAR and you just get fined. And I can't wait for the day that one of these professional footballers like quit or they retire and they let loose about the FA and the PGMOL and there's nothing they can do about it because there's no way. I can't wait for the flipping FBI to come and investigate the PGMOL like they did with FIFA. Like genuinely, I can't fucking wait for that day because they will be one of the best days ever. And there's no way. Look, I tweet this repeatedly from the pod account. It's either corruption or it's incompetence, and there is no in between. There's no in between. It's one of those because you can't get decisions that wrong so often.
Against one club as well, especially.
Again, and then not improve. Yeah. And it's kind of like, well, what are you going to do about it? We're not going to give you this and we're not going to give you that. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, it's just...
You can't even complain. Yeah.
It's so subjective. You're right, VAR. Like you said, Jock, you can rewind and pause it and do it from 65 camera angles and just say, oh, it's not a penalty.
Think about it. I was looking, like, there was a lot of retrospect on the Newcastle game and that mistake that they let the goal in. And they said it was inconclusive. They didn't think that it was a foul on Gabriel. And even Graham Souness, the most battle-hardened and miserable of pundits, came out and said, the ball is not, you don't even have to leap. It's at head height. Right, and it's 6 inches away from your head. You're a central defender, and you realize if you don't make contact with it, the player behind you is going to have an open goal. Now, why wouldn't Gabriel, who's a brilliant defender, head it away? The reason why is because he can't. It's because he's got a man on him pressing him down, which is why he got no head on it. You can see him trying to leap. He's arching his neck. He can't get to it because the guy's pushing him down. But how can those cameras and those referees look at that and say, that's not a foul? That is 100% undeniable, irrefutable incompetence. It makes me want to chew my own fucking face off because fans can see it and we are not qualified and these guys are paid to do it and they've been doing it for years and they say that's not a foul. Fuck if the ball was out or not, right? You haven't got a camera on the line? All right, we'll let you go with that one. Well, Anthony Gordon wasn't offside, you can't check it? Okay, fair enough. You've seen that from this angle, that foul. It's a foul, man. I'm so angry just thinking about it, honestly. It's insane. Sorry. Go on.
Karl, are you watching the Man City game, ain't you? Have you
I just switched over to the Man United Chelsea game, but go on.
Do you notice one of the linesmen? He's only black, isn't he? It's Christmas come early for you. You've been complaining there's no referees. You finally got one. He's been doing it since his first game was November last year. Fucking hell. What next?
Yeah, it was. It's the guy that came up from the championship. I can't remember his name. He came up from the championship.
His name is Akil Howson.
Yeah, he came up from the championship. Every little step it helps. No, we're getting there. I tell you what, the biggest shock. Not that there's a black referee. That's by the by. When there's a referee,
there's no need for
when there's a referee not from the north of England, that is when I will absolutely just lose myself, Danny.
There is a monopoly, isn't there? Yeah.
Yes, when there's a referee like from London, that Danny, I will lose my shit because it's not like there's not 9 million people in London, and at least one of those 9 million people in London could be good enough to referee in a Premier League, but no, they can't be. So
maybe it's
that's
because
where we are.
if you're a referee in London, you have to brave the Hackney Marshes at some point or another, and most people don't come out of there alive if you're a referee. Maybe.
Also, no Londoner wants to go north of the Watford Gap, and I
first-
don't
he's the
blame them
first-
either.
He's the first black or Asian referee since Uriah Rennie 15 years ago.
Uriah Rennie, the Kung Fu
That's
ref.
ridiculous. Think about it. That is ridiculous. 15 years, and every single referee has been bald, white, or from the north of England. But remember, none of them support Manchester United or Man City, even though they're all from Manchester and Liverpool. But they don't support. They all support non-league teams. It's just very
and they
weird.
all look like the same referee from FIFA 2001.
Fat and bald.
Oh gosh!
It doesn't say where he's from though, but most of the games that he's done have been Villa and Nottingham, so I'd imagine he's from the Midlands.
Yeah, more than likely, but he probably doesn't support.
We're getting closer to London. One day, that's my dream.
Yeah, I've told you, any referee that's not from north of the Watford Gap, I will be absolutely shocked, because that doesn't.
Like Jimmy says, a black ref from Southampton, Karl will combust.
Fucking hell! Listen. I think I lose my absolute mind. I tell you what, a black referee, and then Ellis and on the pod with Josh. That's a pipe dream, isn't it? That's like winning the lottery.
Even Paddy Powell wouldn't give you odds on that. They'd say, get out. What the fuck you on about?
Gosh, right. We've been going for 2 hours, so I'm going to wrap this up.
I've got some things to share.
What have you got to share? Hurry up.
There's only a few of them. Some Arsenal fan, because we've done so well with Declan Rice, they've actually set up an official GoFundMe to raise 25 million to give to West Ham, because we underplayed West Ham for Declan Rice. Arsenal fans, they've won the internet again. Declan Rice has now had 6 Premier League Man of the Matches this season out of 15 games. Who else has done that? No one said a bloody thing. Meanwhile, Dickhead is getting Manager of the Month every single one. You know, even when Pep won the quadruple, he didn't get 3 Manager of the Months in a row. But old fucking Kangaroo Dundee or whatever his name is.
Big flange.
Yeah. There's elephant memes with Rice written on them. And I don't know why. And what's this about?
That's carried from the meme that, if you see an elephant on top of the tree, it will eventually fall down, and that's like Arsenal sitting at the top of the league. They'll eventually.
They're waiting for us. They're waiting for us to fall off the top.
And the final one, I'm sure, because Karl is the ABW official style merchant. Ian Wright. Someone photoshopped him and made. What is that coat, and how many of them have you got?
I understand that he's sponsored by Adidas, but I know it was cold, but that's ridiculous. That is.
Yeah, how many have you got? And I bet you got one in yellow, haven't you? Neon yellow.
No, although I did buy a very, very nice Ralph Lauren jacket from America. I gotta say, even though I was quite impressed, it was very nice.
Yeah.
So can't complain. But yes, that jacket is.
I bet it was warm.
Did you see his celebrations when we scored last night?
Oh, I love. Yes, I cannot love him more. He is us.
Brilliant.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a fan.
That's it, Karl.
He's brilliant. Right, ladies and gentlemen, whatever platform you're listening to this on, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Spotify, everything, please give us a like or a thumbs up. It does really help us, and we really appreciate it. And Danny says if we get more than 50 likes on any platform, he may give me a penny for Christmas. Now, Danny, with his funds, exactly. And cost of living crisis, every penny helps.
So I'm shopping at Aldi yesterday. I usually shop at Ocado. I don't buy a steak, so I don't think that counts.
Obviously, it's the cost of living. But yes, give us a like, people. So whatever platform you listen to this on, please do. Jock, thank you for coming on. It is you saved the day, because without you coming on, Danny is still moaning, still saying "fuck the lot of you" because no one cares about FCUK.
You're my favourite, Karl. That's why it doesn't apply to you.
Always a pleasure, fellas.
No worries, Danny. I'm not thanking you because you have to be here, and you bullied me to being here, and I know I don't always reply straight away, but I will try and get better. And also, if you remember, Chris said he was going to host every single podcast at the start of the season.
Every single one.
He said he will be here.
He did a tweet yesterday saying, I've run 1,200 miles this year, and I was going to put, that's like 500 miles for every podcast you've turned up for. He does get a little bit defensive. Jock, are you going to mention your blog?
Yeah, if you want to go on there.
Go on,
I mean, I haven't put anything out there for a month or so, but it's up there. Just looking for Up the Arsenal. And it'll come up on Google, and I've been writing on there since 2014. So it's one of the old ones, and of course one of the best ones. So
the best,
obviously.
Yeah, you even blogged for us a few times back when we were organised and can do shit.
Oh wow, God,
Yeah.
fucking that's a blast from the back.
Canadian
I'm
Jeff.
old. I am so old. Gee, bless Canadian. The other Jeff. Oh, love that man.
Yes, and we love him so much that I've got one of these. I've got the flag ready if he ever turns up, which he often does. And then I have this picture of the beautiful bastard. Look at that.
Look at that beard.
I don't know about you, but I want Canadian bacon with maple dribbled all over it. And some Hortons coffee.
Bring back some maple syrup from America.
Oh, Tim Hortons coffee is the one.
Yeah, he fucking hates it. He gets McDonald's coffee. Yeah.
Oh. He should know.
Yes. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you for being here. You lot had to be here. Everyone, listeners, thank you for listening. You make our day. You're the reason why we come here. And let's just hope that Aston Villa run Man City ragged, and it's a 0-0 draw with 5 injuries apiece. And Evie Martinez gets sent off in the 90th minute for punching Erling Haaland in the face, and Erling Haaland is out for the rest of the season as well. Oh, we can only dream. Yes, definitely. Right, everyone, thanks a lot. Take care, and always remember, #fuck Ellis.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Get down, dog. Splendid business.
He nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I was just eating a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at Ibs, so when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately, and get the brown sauce on and bosh, Bob's your uncle.
Never in doubt.